I'm pretty glad to be back, although it's just a one-off for now because I'm still having some major technical difficulties. Hopefully they should be over soon, but I really wanted to come on and do even just a quick video. Anarchy. In other words, freedom and equality. Yes. For any of you who still don't know what anarchy means, let me tell you that it is not chaos. It is not warlords running around all over the place with gangs of thugs, raping, pillaging, stealing, killing, torturing, whatever. It's not some post-apocalyptic nightmare. Anarchy is freedom and equality, because when you break the word down, people, when you really know what it means, you look at it, and you've got the word that comes from Greek, and without archi, coming from archon, archonis, masters. So we've got without masters. Not without rules, not without morality, not without common sense. Because morality and common sense tell us that we can't go around raping, pillaging, stealing, killing and all the rest of it without retaliation. What goes hand in hand with anarchy, guys, is the non-aggression principle. Do you know what that is? If you know anything about anarchy, you will know about the non-aggression principle. The non-aggression principle is basically live and let live. You don't, no victim, no crime. You don't go around hurting people or damaging their property or stealing from them or whatever in any way, shape or form. You just let them get on with it. But there's also the right to defend yourself and your property. So if somebody starts breaking that first rule, if we can call it that, non-aggression principle, they forfeit their rights to benefit from it. In other words, it doesn't apply to them. So if you go and physically forceful or coercive with that person who is harming somebody or damaging or stealing property or whatever, you and everybody else are fully within your rights to put a stop to that and use whatever force necessary to put a stop to that. So basically the perpetrator doesn't benefit from the protection of the non-aggression principle, if you see what I mean. But in any case, the whole notion of aggressing is being the one who starts it, if you see what I mean. Aggressor, it's not really an aggressor if you're defending. You're defending, you're not aggressing. So attacking, aggressing. Is aggressing even a word? I don't know. But anyway, that's basically, in a nutshell, what anarchy is all about. Is living by those two principles without government interference. Because we, as anarchists, see that human authority only exists if you believe in it, therefore human authority is not real. Aha! The proof is that if all those who enforce the powers of the powers that be, of the ruling elite, decided that they didn't agree with their orders, they turned around and said to those giving them orders, what right have you to tell me to do that? I don't agree with that. I'm not going to do it. You're not the boss of me. And they didn't enforce all these crazy laws. And where would the elite's power be then? Huh? No, they rely on people believing en masse in their crap. And they do that as well through fear and various methods of coercion, which are immoral, and we know that. And we realize that we are ruled by the worst of us. And you know, those are just the ones we see on the surface, who are allowed to see behind, you know, in the shadows, the ones we don't see, the ones with the true power. They are fucking psychopaths. They're not human. They are just... By the way, check out my video on psychopathy if you want to know more about psychopaths. Because that's something that kind of interests me as well. Psychopathy is absolutely fascinating. One of the major problems on this planet right now is psychopathy, and it's very linked to control, because hierarchical control systems for me are psychopathic in nature. They were created by psychopaths, benefit psychopaths, because they encourage competition, trampling your brothers and sisters, your friends and family, just anything to get ahead, anything to get money and power, and that is success. That's what you need to do. And it goes against, for me, what is natural for humans and what is right. That is to say, cooperation, voluntary interaction. That is why also anarchy is sometimes called voluntaryism. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Sorry, I'm having bimbo moments. I am very intelligent, but I have my bimbo moments as well. Always fun. But yeah, okay, so it's all about voluntary, peaceful interaction rather than being forced into doing something with the threat of being thrown in a cage or fined or having your stuff stolen. And it's about freedom. And oh my God, who's going to build the roads? Because we couldn't possibly manage to cooperate between ourselves and build roads. Roads didn't exist before government, I mean, nothing existed before government. We were being capable of doing anything without government. Please, come off it. All arguments for the state can be dismissed very, very easily. They can be proven to be a load of nonsense, utter nonsense, so easily. And many of them are self-defeating arguments like, oh, you can't trust humans to behave themselves and be good and be nice. You've got to have government to keep people in check. So that's why we've got the worst of us in power? Right. Okay. And look, it's working so well for us, isn't it? They're just committing crimes on a bigger scale and getting away with it, and we just we're kind of fine with that because it's government. That's just what they do. It's not wrong. It's government. Oh, but we live in a democracy. Okay, nobody wants this war, but it's a democracy. We must have voted for it somehow, even if nobody wanted it. It must have got voted in somehow. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but people are really, I just baffles me the stupidity of people, quite frankly. Because democracy doesn't work either. I mean, it's clear that democracy doesn't work. Voting can be rigged, and often is. And, I've always thought, even as a little kid, I was like, once somebody gets into power, they can sort of coerce people, whether it be via force, threats, or more sort of subtle psychological brainwashing kind of methods, into voting for them or their buddies next time round. So they kind of always stay in power. And that's basically what happens with democracy. And it's not really true democracy either, because you don't get to vote on every decision made. They choose who you've got a choice between, and then you pick out their shortlist. They make the shortlist of people you can choose and stuff you can choose, and then every now and again they'll let you go, well, here's a shortlist, choose, go on. And it's only if you're in the majority do you win. The minority are always losers. Even if the democracy did work and it wasn't rigged and it wasn't, they didn't use manipulation in any way, shape or form. And democracy incites that as well. It incites people to cheat to get into power, because in any case, a power structure, any kind of power structure, this sort of hierarchical structure, is going to attract people who want to control their fellow man. And I'm sorry, but that is the sign of a sick person. I'm sorry, it's sick to want to control other people like that. And it's a sickness that is, widespread these days, if you want my opinion. So many people want to control others to a certain degree. I've been there at some points in my life wanting to control people to a certain degree. I no longer have any desire whatsoever to do that. You know, I would prefer for people to behave in a certain way towards me. I will not coerce them. I will try and treat them with, you know, the consideration and the respect that I hope they would show to me, unless they don't show it to me, in which case, fuck off. Just get them to fuck off. And, but no, this kind of person, as I said, is attracted to a hierarchical structure. And for me, the desire to control others is psychopathic in nature. It's a psychopathic trait. So the system attracts psychopaths because it was made by psychopaths for psychopaths. Psychopaths are good in this kind of a structure. They're good at you know, being ruthless and not giving a flying monkey fart about anybody but themselves, and to want to control and manipulate and you know, getting off on that almost. You know, they get off on manipulation. It's really kind of scary. For normal people in any case, it's scary to see that. So yeah, that's why I don't agree with democracies, because democracy doesn't work, for one thing. And it's kind of like, it's a magnet for disaster as well. The very fact that, you know, you've got to manipulate people into choosing you, and there's the competition side of it as well, instead of the cooperation. It ignores the minority. It's very flawed, and everybody glorifies democracy as if it's the best thing since sliced bread. Even me as a kid, I could see it wasn't right. You know, it's not right. Democracy doesn't work. It's not right. The best thing is voluntarism, anarchy, whatever you want to call it, which is peaceful coercion within the local community, and, you know, trying to get along, get things done. And I'm sure that we can. Okay, people think it's, you know, this utopian idea, this naive utopian idea that we can do this, but I think for the most part people have some common sense, know how to get along, and I think with education, that people, and a sense of morality and a bit of common sense, it would take time. I'm not saying it would happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. Oh, the irony of that expression in this video. But it can happen. I know it can. I know, because I know that humanity is better than that. That we deserve better, but only if we work for better. If we really want it and we go for it and we decide to open our minds, educate ourselves, starting by realizing, most of us, anybody of you watching this video probably know that the world is basically a hellhole. It's just a big pile of poo right now. There is so much wrong with it, and yet it's so beautiful. And yet, you know, humanity drives me nuts. I hate them sometimes. I hate people. I don't even want to go out this weekend because there's going to be this great big street theatre thing, and there's going to be tons of people. I don't want to be around all these stupid sheeple, quite frankly. At the same time, you know, I think, God, they've got such potential, you know? Just wake up! Wake up and realise how wonderful you could be. The potential that is dormant inside of you. Wake it up. Realise that this world is going to pieces. Realise that now we've got to act. Realise that they've got no authority over us and that we can make a difference. Stand up for yourself. Take responsibility. Stop being a big baby and wanting state to be your parents for you, to babysit you. That's all it takes. Because we know we could do a darn sight better job than they are at building a world that is harmonious, peaceful, happy. God's sake, I mean, most people, if they wouldn't start wars. They wouldn't go sending drones killing little kiddies in foreign countries. They wouldn't be stupid enough to build great big fucking nuclear power plants in areas where there's a lot of seismic activity. They wouldn't go around doing crazy shit like this. They wouldn't want... And if we didn't have government, we wouldn't have all these problems like GMOs and vaccines and stuff, because people will be free to decide for themselves and to educate themselves. And if you want to stick poison in you, go right ahead. That's your. If you want to drug yourself, go right ahead. But as long as you don't harm anyone else, that's the thing about anarchy. Do no harm. No victim, no crime. Let's all live in harmony. Let's all live in peace. Let's all get along. If we need to do something like build a road or a hospital or a school or whatever, we are perfectly capable of acting like adults and doing it. If people say it's utopian, that I'm naive and my fellow anarchists are naive in believing in such a dream, the only thing that we're naive to believe is that perhaps, and if that, and I don't think so, but the only utopian side of it is hoping that people are just going to grow up, wake up and grow up. And I think that's basically, that's what anarchy calls for, is for people to wake up and to grow up so that they can take their power back and this can be a better place. And I really do think that anarchy is key to that. I know I've been waffling on, and this has been an extra long video. I didn't expect it to go on that long. I've been all over the place. I'm not used to making videos. I'm tired. I'm passionate. But anyway, I love you guys. I thank you for watching. If you've watched this far, thank you. Well done, you. And I hope I've given you food for thought. I'm going to try and get some links to websites and YouTube channels and whatnot if you're interested in anarchy. A ton of links in the description so that you can inform yourself a bit further on anarchy and what it really is and what we're really about. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I shall speak to you soonish. But in the meantime, you know, look after yourselves and just keep thinking about things and just don't take things for granted. Become an anarchist. There's a button.